Hello, welcome to Herding Little Cows. I said on a previous video that I was going to make a recipe for making soup. I think I said chicken soup in the recipe, but I have some ingredients today that I'm going to make a beef vegetable barley soup with some of the things that I had in the house that I needed to use up. And if it comes out good tonight, we're going to be passing some of this on to a friend who's recently had a baby. So this is a good meal because it can make a lot that you can share with others. So first, we have a pot of chicken broth here on the stove that we are waiting to get to a boil. It's hot, so it's almost ready. If I put things in now, it would probably be fine because it's starting to steam. But I had just turned it off for a little bit because we weren't ready to do the video yet. The things that I'm going to add are 2 onions, probably 6 of the middle stalks of the celery. I had taken all the other stalks off the sides, and I started right at the top of the stalk and started chopping right down to the end of it. So it was probably about 6 of those inner stalks along with the leaves, which are great for soup. And I think it was 4 or 5 carrots that I had in there. This is about 1/3 of a head of cabbage that I had in the fridge that I bought for some other recipes, and I hadn't been making them because we had some leftovers we were using, so I wanted to get those used up. I'm going to add a couple bay leaves. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of garlic. This is a little over 2 cups of barley, just pearled barley from the store. A bag costs about $1.25, $1.50. You can find it on sale sometimes for less than $1, but this was a full bag of barley. A bag of whole kernel corn, a 2-pound bag of mixed vegetables, which is carrots, green beans, corn, and peas. This bag of whole kernel corn is 1 pound. I had a number 10 can of diced tomatoes I opened for a chili recipe the other day, and I used just over a little more than half of it. So this is the rest of the diced tomatoes that were there. And then this was some hamburger. I bought a 4-pound package the other day, cooked it up, and we've been using it along with beans for taco Mexican food. But this is what's left. There's no seasoning on this as of right now. So the chicken broth that is in the pot was made with the same recipe. Hold on, I need to turn that off. Real life right here. We gotta check the brownies that were made. Nope, they're not done yet. So I'm going to reset the timer. Which buttons on our timer work? I think the 4 works. Okay. We'll set it for another 4 minutes. Our microwave has some numbers that don't work. We can't change the clock. So the clock is currently right because about a week ago the power went out, and we can only change it by unplugging it and plugging it back in, which resets it to 1 o'clock. So we have to make sure we do that at the right time. And
our 1 doesn't work either.
Our 1 doesn't work, and I think the 5 doesn't work. So we just kind of go with it. Okay, so this is at a boil. So now we are going to add all of our barley. Pour it right in. And we're going to add the bowl of onion, celery, and carrots. You can make what is called a mirepoix, where you put this stuff in a pan with some oil and you get it to the onions being translucent. It gives it a really good flavor. I didn't have time for that today. So it's going into the pot like this. It cooks just fine like that. It's just an extra deep flavor of the soup. The soup still comes out great just putting it right in like this. So I'm gonna put this in without trying to splash too much. So that is what the soup looks like currently. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of garlic. Like I said, our measurements are not precise. I've got just a regular old spoon from the kitchen table. We're adding about that much garlic. And we're going to add some bay leaves. Now we're going to let this come back to a boil. The barley needs to cook for about 50 minutes. The nice thing about barley is it continues to get softer if it cooks past that, but it's not like pasta where it totally falls apart. It will still have texture. So the barley needs to cook for 50 minutes. So we're going to leave this cooking for about 30 to 40 minutes, depending. I'm going outside with the kids, so depending when I come back in, and that's when I will add the rest of the ingredients. because the things that are still on the counter, the cabbage, the corn, the mixed vegetables, the tomato sauce, and the meat do not need as long in the soup. So we are going to put a top on this soup. And as soon as this gets back to a boil, we'll turn it down to a simmer and let it go for the 30 to 40 minutes till I come back in, and we'll be back with you to show you what we do with the rest of the ingredients. Welcome back to Herding Little Cows. This food has been cooking for I don't know how long right now, because we started putting the sleeping bags in the camper because we're sleeping out there for the first time tonight. So the kids are really excited, and it took longer than I thought it was going to as everybody figured out their bed. So here's the soup. Here's what it looks like after it's been cooking. You can see it's got barley, a lot of barley, some vegetables. We will take those bay leaves out when we're ready to eat. But this was what you saw me add to the pot before. And some people might be asking, I thought she said it was a hamburger soup, but she's using chicken broth. The flavors work well together. It's what I happen to have in the house. If I had some beef stock, I would use that in my soup, but I had chicken broth today, and I have hamburger that needs to be used up. It works well together, as long as the flavors are not something that's contrary to each other, like if you put Mexican food with Italian, that would probably be weird, but because I didn't have actual flavors in any of this stuff, the flavors will work fine together. So I'm going to turn the pot of soup back up to high because I want it to get to a boil again. I'm going to add our cabbage, and this is going to be a nice full pot of soup, so I know there's probably a recommended don't fill it past here or whatever, but I always go past that marks. And as you can see, the brownies came out of the oven. So there's our cabbage. Here's our frozen corn. Here's our frozen mixed vegetables. See, like I said, nice full pot. No one's going hungry tonight. We'll mix this up. And we made this meal specifically because Mark can eat it. He is going gluten-free, and so this does not have any rice. I know that barley can be a contaminant for some people, but we are cutting out the big gluten in our lives right now, and we're using up the rest of the ingredients we had. So now we're going to add the tomato. These were just diced tomatoes. They have no flavoring. They're just the normal diced tomatoes you get in a can. Right to the top. I might have to scoop out a bowl. We're just careful with the mixing. Careful with the mixing. We're going to let all of this cook together just until the frozen vegetables are cooked through. The cabbage will cook very quickly, and the cabbage gives it a nice little crunch. Take out this little piece of tomato that looks a little dark. Sometimes that happens when you get canned vegetables. You get a little end stem. The machines can't do it exactly perfectly, but there we go. We're going to let that keep cooking together. We will add the hamburger once those vegetables are done. There's our very full pot of soup, but we will be back to show you the end product.